first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolks said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly.
In 1938, The Wizard of Oz nearly killed the man who'd played Jed Clampett. 24 years later, he was the most watched star in America. And that isn't even the strangest story on this show. Not close. Come and listen to a story about a man named Jed. You know the words. Your parents knew them. Everybody knows them. 9 seasons, 274 episodes. #1 in America, 2 years running. But here's what that song never told you. One of them figured out how to own the Clampetts. He went to CBS and bought the rights to the family name. He's 88 years old. He's still alive, and we're getting to exactly how he did it. Granny earned a Tony nomination at 70, then died 3 weeks later. In 1984, Jed Clampett went public and campaigned against Miss Jane Hathaway. The dumbest man on television held a degree in business administration. One of them was murdered while the show was still on the air. One of them lost his memory before he lost his life, and almost nobody knew. And the show wasn't canceled because people stopped watching. Not even close. Stay with me for that one. It changes how you see all of it. The show made fun of people America decided weren't smart. Every one of those actors was smarter than the country watching. Let's see what really happened.
Mr. Brewster, to protect us. Oh, there he is.
Buddy Ebsen is Jed Clampett. Buddy Ebsen was born on April 2, 1908 in Belleville, Illinois. His father ran a dance school. That's the first thing to know about him, because before he was a mountaineer who couldn't work a telephone, Buddy Ebsen was a dancer. He and his sister Vilma had a hoofing act. Broadway loved it. MGM signed them both. He danced on screen with Shirley Temple and Judy Garland. He was elegant and quick.
Dancing in a row, shuffle off to Buffalo.
Then 1938 happened. MGM cast him in The Wizard of Oz. Originally, he was the Scarecrow. Ray Bolger wanted that part, so they swapped. Ebsen became the Tin Man.
Picture me a balcony.
He recorded the songs, he shot footage, he put on the makeup. And here's the detail that changes everything. The Tin Man makeup was pure aluminum, ground into powder and dusted onto his face. He breathed it in for days. It coated the inside of his lungs. One night at home, his airway closed. He couldn't breathe. He spent roughly 2 weeks in hospital, fighting for air. MGM reportedly thought he was stalling. Then they replaced him. Jack Haley got the part. The studio quietly switched the makeup to aluminum paste. Nobody warned Haley why. By most accounts, Ebsen wasn't told directly that he'd been recast. He found out sideways. Now here's the part almost nobody knows. His voice is still in the movie. The group vocals on "We're Off to See the Wizard" were recorded before he collapsed. They kept them. For 87 years, every child who's watched that film has heard Buddy Ebsen singing. None of them knew it. There's no lost footage. That story is false, but the voice is real. He served in the Coast Guard during the war, then worked steadily, but never at the top. He was 54 years old when he became Jed Clampett, and Jed made him the most watched man in America. Then he did something almost no actor ever manages. He escaped. 2 years after the cancellation, he headlined Barnaby Jones for CBS. 7 more seasons. He was 65 when it started. He was still carrying a network drama at 72. Most actors get 1 hit. He got 2, and the second arrived at retirement age. For the 1993 movie, he agreed to appear but refused to play Jed. He turned up as Barnaby Jones instead. At 85, he was still choosing which of his own ghosts to walk back into. Away from the cameras he painted, wrote books, and raced sailboats into his 80s. The man never stopped moving. That was the point of him. Buddy Ebsen died on July 6, 2003, at 95 years old. America knew him as a slow-talking man who found oil in a swamp. The real man was a dancer Hollywood nearly suffocated, then couldn't get rid of for 65 years. One more thing about Buddy Ebsen. He was a lifelong, committed Republican. Hold on to that. It comes back, and it costs somebody.
Ellie, honey, put it on the other way around.
All right.
Hold it. Hold on.
Irene Ryan is Granny. Irene Ryan was born on October 17, 1902, in El Paso, Texas. She won an amateur singing contest at 11 years old. That was the beginning. Then came 40 years of nothing much. Vaudeville stages, radio bits, small parts and forgettable films with her husband, Tim Ryan. She was a working comic, reliable, funny, unknown. For 4 decades, nobody was casting her in anything that mattered. She was 59 years old when Paul Henning made her Granny. Think about that number, 59.
Granny?
Granny was supposed to be pushing 70. Some scripts implied older. The whole thing was built. The wig, the spectacles, the padding underneath. She was a woman in her late 50s, playing a woman decades older every week for 9 years. And she was ferocious in it. 2 Emmy nominations. She never won. Then in 1971, CBS pulled the plug. She was 68 and finished. Except she wasn't. Here's what she did next. And it's the best story in this entire cast. She went to Broadway. In 1972, at 70 years old, she joined the original cast of Pippin. She played Berta, the grandmother, and she had one song, No Time at All. She stopped the show with it. Every night, the audience wouldn't let her leave the stage. Bob Fosse directing. Standing ovations from people who came for a musical, not a sitcom. She got a Tony nomination for it. 40 years of vaudeville, 9 years of Granny, and her best reviews arrived at 70. Then, in March of 1973, she fell ill during the run. Now, you've heard a version of this. Almost everyone has. The story online says she collapsed on stage. Some say she died there, in front of the audience. That's not what happened. She finished her performance. She left because she was sick. She flew home to California. Doctors found a tumor in her brain. Irene Ryan died on April 26, 1973, at 70 years old. 6 months earlier, she'd been taking bows on a Broadway stage. She never had children, so she did something else with what she'd earned. Her estate funded acting scholarships for college students. They still carry her name. For over 50 years, young actors have been getting their first break because of Granny. She spent 40 years as a nobody. She died a Tony nominee. Granny's final act was the youngest thing she ever did. She got a second chance. The woman playing her granddaughter never got one.
Away from Pearl, and old Pearl, and away from Pearl.
Donna Douglas is Ellie Mae Clampett. Donna Douglas was born in 1932 on a farm outside Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Some records say 33. She was the real thing, a Southern country girl who actually grew up around animals. She played softball and basketball in high school. Then she won pageants, Miss Baton Rouge, Miss New Orleans, then New York, modeling, The Perry Como Show. But here's the detail that changes how you see her entirely. The year before she became the most photographed blonde in America, she made a Twilight Zone. It's called Eye of the Beholder. It's one of the most famous half hours in television history. She plays a woman having surgery because her face is considered hideously deformed. Her head is wrapped in bandages for almost the whole episode. You never see her. At the end, the bandages come off. She's beautiful, and everyone around her recoils. The episode is about a world that judges people entirely on a face. A year later, she took a role that judged her entirely on hers. She was 29 when she became Ellie Mae, and she was genuinely good with the critters. That part wasn't acting.
This here little feller's what you call a jaguar.
Then the show ended, and it was over. Of everyone in this cast, Donna Douglas got typecast the hardest. There was almost no acting career after 1971. Not because she wasn't capable, because nobody would look past the pigtails. So she stopped waiting for Hollywood and started making her own things. She sang gospel. She toured churches as a speaker. She wrote children's books. Then she went after the studios, twice. In 1993, she and her business partner sued Walt Disney Pictures. They wanted $200 million. They'd optioned a novel called A Nun in the Closet back in 1985. They turned it into a screenplay and said they'd sent it to Disney 3 times. Then Sister Act came out. Their suit claimed more than 100 similarities between the two. Disney reportedly offered $1 million to make it go away. She turned it down and went for the win. The judge sided with Disney. She got nothing. Then in 2011, Mattel put out an Ellie Mae Barbie doll. She sued again, saying nobody had asked for the rights to her own face. That one's settled. Donna Douglas died on January 1st, 2015 of pancreatic cancer at 82. Every other actor here spent their life trying to outrun the Clampetts. She spent 50 years saying thank you, and then billed anyone who used it without asking. She knew exactly what was hers. The man who played the banker lost track of everything.
My lips long to taste your lovely hand.
Raymond Bailey is Milburn Drysdale. Raymond Bailey was born on May 6, 1904 in San Francisco. He wanted to act. Hollywood said no for a very long time. So he did other things. He worked at sea. He worked the pineapple fields in Hawaii. And he worked in finance, which is the joke of his entire life. The man who played television's greediest banker knew what a bank looked like from inside. He broke through as a character actor. He's in Hitchcock's Vertigo. He worked constantly. He was 58 when he became Milburn Drysdale.
We bankers like to take as much interest as we can.
9 seasons guarding Jed's millions and losing his mind over them. Then something quiet and cruel happened. Bailey was reportedly diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. The Beverly Hillbillies was effectively the last major work of his career. He retired. He lived out his final years away from all of it. Raymond Bailey died on April 15, 1980, at 75 years old. He spent 9 years protecting a fortune that was never his. He ended his life losing the one thing that actually was. He wasn't the only person on that set who lost something. Somebody else lost a friend out loud on national radio.
Your handsome nephew, your lovely daughter, and your beautiful mother.
Nancy Culp is Jane Hathaway. Nancy Culp was born on August 28, 1921, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She earned a journalism degree from Florida State. She started a master's after that, in English and French. She worked as an actual reporter before she ever thought about acting. Then the war came and she joined the Navy. She served in the waves, reportedly reaching the rank of lieutenant, read that back, a journalist, a graduate student, a commissioned officer in the Second World War. The show's only educated character was played by its most educated actor. She never planned to be on camera. She went to Hollywood to work in publicity. The director, George Cukor, told her she was on the wrong side of the lens. She was 41 when she became Miss Jane Hathaway, and she was brilliant in it, sharp, dry, in total control of every scene.
I'm Jane Hathaway, Executive Secretary to Mr. Drysdale.
She got an Emmy nomination in 1967. She didn't win. Nobody on this show ever did. Then the show ended and Hollywood decided she was Miss Jane forever. So she went home to Pennsylvania and did something nobody expected. In 1984, Nancy Culp ran for Congress. She stood as a Democrat in Pennsylvania's 9th District. Her opponent was a sitting Republican named Bud Schuster. Then, her old co-star got involved. Buddy Ebsen recorded a message backing Schuster, calling her too liberal for the district. Jed Clampett on the radio, campaigning against Miss Jane. The press loved it. She didn't. She lost. Badly. Schuster took roughly 2/3 of the vote. Now let's be honest about this, because most videos aren't. That district was never going to elect her. It was deeply Republican. It wasn't close, and it was never going to be. Buddy Ebsen didn't cost Nancy Culp the election. He cost her a friendship on a national stage, in front of everyone who'd watched them work. They weren't enemies afterward. They just weren't anything. Sometimes that's worse. She'd been married once, back in the 50s. It ended in 1961. She never remarried, and she never explained herself to anybody. In 1989, an interviewer asked her directly about her private life. She agreed to answer, but only if she got to phrase the question herself. Then she said that in her experience, birds of a feather flock together. She never gave the press more than that. She never owed them more. She taught acting at Juniata College. Her students adored her. She gave her last years to animal charities. Nancy Culp died of cancer on February 3, 1991, at 69. For 9 seasons, she played the smartest person in every room she walked into. It took a congressional campaign to find out how few people had been listening. She wasn't the first woman on this show to be underestimated. She just got more years to prove it than one of them did.
Jethro? Oh, I hardly think that.
B.A. Benadarat is Cousin Pearl. There's one more name from the early years that you need. Bea Benaderet played cousin Pearl Bodine, Jethro's mother. She was already a legend when she got there. One of the great radio voices in America. Paul Henning knew what he had. He moved her out to headline Petticoat Junction. She carried it for 5 seasons. Bea Benaderet died of lung cancer in 1968. The Hillbillies still had 3 seasons to run. She helped build the whole rural empire at CBS. She didn't live to watch them tear it down. One man did, and then he went out and bought the wreckage. Max Baer Jr. is Jethro Bodine. Now here's the one you've been waiting for. We'll get to the part where he bought the show. But first, the part where he couldn't get a job. Max Baer Jr. was born on December 4th, 1937, in Oakland, California. His father was the heavyweight champion of the world. Max Baer Sr. took the title off Primo Carnera in 1934, so his son grew up as somebody's son, which is a hard way to start. He went to Santa Clara University. He graduated in 1959. And here's the fact that reframes this entire show. He earned a bachelor's degree in business administration with a minor in philosophy. The man America laughed at for being too stupid to count past 6 studied philosophy. He was 24 when he became Jethro Bodine.
I'd say, hi, Ma. When did you learn how to drive a car?
He also played Jethrine, Jethro's sister, in a dress and a wig, dubbed by somebody else. He was 6'4" and built like his father, and they put him in a bonnet. America thought it was hilarious. It worked for 9 years, until it stopped. Then the show was canceled, and Max Baer Jr. found out what he'd traded. He couldn't get work, not serious work. Nobody would look at him. He has said flatly that the Beverly Hillbillies was the lowest point of his career. 9 seasons on the #1 show in America. The lowest point of his career. That's what typecasting actually does. That's the whole price in one sentence. So he stopped asking Hollywood for permission. In 1974, he wrote and produced a film called Macon County Line. It reportedly cost well under $250,000. It made tens of millions. Measured by what it returned against what it cost, it held the record for 25 years. Nothing beat it until the Blair Witch Project in 1999. Jethro Bodine made one of the most profitable films in Hollywood history himself. He directed Ode to Billy Joe 2 years later. That was a hit too. Then, in 1981, CBS came calling with a reunion movie. Everyone still living said yes. Max Baer Jr. said no, so they recast Jethro and made it without him. And then he did the smartest thing anyone in this story ever did. Here's how it worked, because this is the part people get wrong. CBS owned the show. The episodes, the negatives, all of it. Never for sale. But the commercial rights underneath it were a different thing entirely. The name, the characters, the right to put Jethro on a slot machine or a menu. In 1991, Baer went to CBS and acquired the sub-licensing rights to all of it. Merchandise, food, beverage. His business partner has estimated the cost of getting it at around $1 million. He didn't buy the show. He bought the right to sell it. In 1999, 65 Beverly Hillbillies slot machines went into 10 casinos. Then he chased the big one, a Beverly Hillbillies hotel and casino in Nevada. In 2003, he tried to convert an old Walmart in Carson City. Building codes killed it. He tried again and again for 20 years. It never opened. But understand what he actually did here. Every other actor on this show was paid a salary and then let go. None of them got rich off the reruns. That's a myth. The residuals weren't there. Max Baer Jr. went out and bought the thing that had trapped him. Today, in 2026, Max Baer Jr. is 88 years old. He's the last surviving member of the principal cast, the last Clampett standing. They spent 9 years telling America he was the dumbest man on television. He's the only one who was smart enough to buy the family name back. And he's not quite the last name on this list.
Uncle Jed, if they was a pretty girl on the other side of this house, I'd jump clean over it.
One more name you know. Before we finish, there's one more person who was on this show. You know her name. You probably don't know she was there. Between 1963 and 1965, a young actress played a bank secretary. The character was called Janet Trego. She turns up in the background of Mr. Drysdale's office over and over. The actress was under studio contract, being groomed for something bigger, and the studio made her wear a dark wig because they didn't want her blonde yet. So America watched her for 2 years without ever really seeing her. Her name was Sharon Tate. She got out, she became a film star. She married Roman Polanski. In August of 1969, she was murdered in her home. She was 26. The Beverly Hillbillies was still on the air. It had 2 more seasons to run. Somewhere in those early black and white episodes, she's still standing behind that bank desk. Dark wig, a few lines, 21 years old, and completely unaware of any of it.
You hear any music?
No, should I?
Oh, yeah.
That's the strange thing about old television. It doesn't know what's coming either. 2 more seasons, and it was over. And not for the reason you've been told your whole life. Here's the thing. Everybody gets wrong about the cancellation. The Beverly Hillbillies wasn't canceled because people stopped watching. In 1964, an episode called The Giant Jackrabbit pulled a 44 rating. That's still one of the highest numbers a scripted half-hour has ever recorded here. And it was still pulling large audiences in its final year. But something changed at CBS. Advertisers stopped caring about how many people watched. They started caring about which people watched. Young, urban, wealthy. That's who they'd pay a premium for. The Beverly Hillbillies delivered older and rural viewers in enormous numbers. CBS decided those numbers weren't worth anything, so they cleared the schedule. The Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Mayberry, Lassie, Hee Haw, gone, almost all at once. They called it the Rural Purge. Pat Buttram from Green Acres said it best. He said CBS canceled everything with a tree in it. In came All in the Family, then Mary Tyler Moore, then MASH. Television grew up, and it left the Clampetts behind on purpose. There was no finale, no goodbye episode, no last scene at the cement pond. It ran on March 23, 1971, and then it simply stopped. 9 years, 274 episodes, and nobody got to say goodbye. Oh, and 2 more things. That mansion was never in Beverly Hills. It's in Bel Air, and they only filmed the outside. Every room you remember was a set on a soundstage. The Clampetts never went inside that house. It sold in 2019 for a reported $150 million. At the time, it was the most expensive home ever sold in California. And the first 2 seasons of the show fell out of copyright. Anyone can sell them, but the theme song didn't. Paul Henning's song is still protected, so on the cheap public domain releases, the music gets cut out. You can legally own the first 2 seasons of the Beverly Hillbillies. You just can't have the song. So that's the Beverly Hillbillies, then and now. Benaderet in 68. Tate in 69, Ryan in 73, Bailey in 1980, Culp in 91, Ebsen in 2003, Douglas in 2015. One left, 88 years old, in Nevada, still holding the rights. I told you at the start that The Wizard of Oz nearly killed Jed Clampett. It did. He outlived the studio that replaced him by more than 60 years. That's the whole show in one man. The joke was always that the Clampetts didn't belong in Beverly Hills. But look at who was playing them. A Broadway dancer, a vaudeville veteran with a Tony nomination, a Navy officer with a journalism degree, a philosophy graduate, and a farm girl who took on Disney and Mattel and never blinked. So here's the question I keep coming back to. The smartest woman on that show couldn't get taken seriously the day she stepped off it. What does that say about us? Not about her, about what we decide a person is worth. Tell me your answer in the comments because I want to read them. If you want more stories told this carefully, subscribe. That's what this channel does. And watch this one next. The Ballad of Jed Clampett, the voice nobody credited, because the man singing the version stuck in your head never got his name on the record.